Good morning, everybody. This is the Falcons Podcast. It is Monday after a Sunday night disappointing game out in San Francisco where the San Francisco 49ers, let's see how I can put this. No, there is no easy way to put this. Manhandled the Atlanta Falcons in the trenches in their 20-10 victory. And the Falcons coming in are, 3-3. If we had looked at the schedule and gone through the games, you look at them and you say, okay, 3-3, that's kind of where you're hoping to be, but it's the nature of the 3-3 that I think is concerning to people. You beat Washington, you beat Buffalo, you lose to teams that you feel like you were probably better than based on circumstance, injuries, the teams themselves, whatnot. It can just be a little concerning, and we're going to get into all of that as we get moving. But first, I'm Scott Kennedy. This guy over here, well, that's Summit on the bed. And then the guy next to him, that's Nick Kendall. Nick is actually in Denver now. We did the Broncos for Breakfast podcast together for 4 years. And so he's kind of decked out in his Broncos gear for the Falcons podcast, but we'll forgive him for that. And what was your immediate reaction from this game, Nick?
This was a game that kind of leaned into some of the worries that we had about this Falcons team this season. I think they hit on pretty much all of them, I guess, other than the kicking game. That was one of them. But Penix, erratic, it can get hot, can get cold. The passing offense really didn't feel like it ever got going in this one. When you don't have Drake London to throw to, the offense through the air feels a little bit worried. When you can't run the football, problematic. Right tackle, a few big pressures, sacks, a strip sack, I think, from coming from the right tackle to Bryce Huff. And then the Falcons run defense as well. Now, granted, Christian McCaffrey is a heck of a player. And he looks pretty good, especially as a receiver. But this is one that I've been worried about this Falcons defense. While they're aggressive, they have bodies up front. You should be able to get under them and move them if you are a good coordinated offensive line and run game. And the Falcons definitely got, as you said, beat up front in the trenches. So
yeah, and Rio, good to see you over here on YouTube. He drops in on Facebook too. I went over to X actually. So if you happen to see us on X, give us a retweet. One of the Facebook groups didn't connect, so I connected to my Scout Kennedy X account and then retweeted it with the Falcons SI account. So we're on Meta, we're on Grok, we're on Google. So we're trying to hit everybody. I'm glad we found you, Rio. You know a few ways to find us, and there are several ways to find us. Rio with a super chat. He opens up, breaks the ice for us. He says, tough loss. O-line got beat badly last night. And Rio, it did, and it started on the first snap. I don't know the 49ers defenders, and I don't think anybody did yesterday, the way that Collinsworth and Tirico were talking. I don't know them by name the way I used to, so I'm looking up as I'm watching this. I'm like, who the hell is 92? Because you don't want, and this isn't on Newsel, you don't typically want centers head up one-on-one versus nose guards. That's a mismatch. Nose guards are some of the most freakishly athletic people that walk this planet. You see a 330-pound guy that can do a standing backflip. You don't want them head up with a guy who was an accounting major at an academic university and made it to the NFL. But very first play, he got pushed in. I'm like, okay, let's fix that and make sure that doesn't happen. Well, the next play, 92 does the same thing to Bergeron, pushes him 3 yards deep into the backfield. I'm like, uh-oh. So on that side of the ball, they did. And Nick, I think one of the things I just don't understand, I don't study it enough to say pistol, no pistol, okay, can it work this way? Can it work that way? Whatever. What I don't understand is why you come out with 11 guys basically in tight formations when you drafted a quarterback that can throw a ball through a brick wall. I understood it. We had this discussion with Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. He doesn't have a huge arm. Sometimes you have to be a little tighter and mix and match. But if I've got Bijan Robinson, I want space. That first drive when they went 3 and out on 1st and 10, there were 20 players in the box, all 11 from the Falcons and 9 49ers. That's not this team's MO, especially a hobbled Jake Matthews, a third-string right tackle. I don't get it. And if I'm going to do that, why not run Algier into that space instead of Bijan into a 9-man front. That's the stuff that I just don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, after praising Zach Robinson last week, this one was a little bit befuddling. Again, I come back to Scott just figuring out if the Falcons go as the run game goes. So obviously, like Penix, we have hope for him long term, but not the best Bijan Robinson run game in general. And you were getting beat up front, but you got to there's some offenses out there that are creative, and there's probably not a team as correlated to their offensive success as the Falcons with the run game, given the talent, but also just the youth of the quarterback position and the lack of wide receiver depth. So I'm not sure. It's something to keep an eye on. Falcons, leaning on Penix in this one. The 49ers did go into the draft and be like, we were getting tired of getting beat up front on the defensive line. And they drafted arguably the two best run defenders, size, length, power-wise in the entire class, in Michael Williams and Alfred Collins. And that's, even if they're not stuffing the stat sheet, you can feel them when you watch them. It's like, oh yeah, wow, that guy is huge and long. Crazy. Yeah. That's what she said. But that's guess I had to. But yeah, no, tough loss, as Rio says here. O-line did get beat. Bergeron's had a really good season. It was good to see Jake Matthews back there. But this was one that you couldn't get to the periphery of the offense, the weaponry as much, because you were getting beat enough up front consistently.
King Richie, good to see you. I hope you're doing well this morning. And he says, Scott, what was the problem? I'm lost. Is it Zach or Penix? And King Richie and Falcons fam out there, everybody, it's always so much easier just to say it's one thing. It's Raheem. Because if you can change one thing's easy to change, except Arthur Blank. I can change a coach. I can change an offensive coordinator. I can do all these things. It's both. I mean, it's not just Zach or Penix. Zach didn't have necessarily a great game. I thought he failed to adjust. And again, right now, I edited the article that's on FalconsSI.com right now, the 6 takeaways. And, the one I ended, just the little sentence I ended at the end, it may not be easy to do, but defending the Falcons right now is simple. Stop Bijan. Stop Bijan, stop Falcons. They've got too much talent. And when you've got Drake London and Kyle Pitts out there, guys you've invested top 10 picks in, it shouldn't be that simple of a game plan. Find Bijan and stop him. If you do that, this team sunk. And they stack the box and they still refuse to go over the top. We saw them do it against Washington. It worked. Why? Why not? And the problem right now that I have with Michael Penix, and I'm not saying this won't get better. He's had 9 starts. Would have been nice to work some of that out last year, but he is not good under pressure. He is not good with when his offensive line, when there's blitzes coming, free blitzers, that's on the quarterback. He has to spot those guys and come out of it. But when there are guys coming in on him and that kind of pressure, can he make a big time throw with 30 seconds left in the game under pressure? Yes, he can. That's a different kind of pressure. But when the pocket gets dirty, when there are blitzers coming, he is not a good quarterback right now. And if that doesn't get better, then this team really can't go anywhere, because he's going to be under pressure against good teams.
Yeah, I mean, good teams build their lines, and I can't think of many good teams, Scott, that haven't had good pass rushes. I mean, besides quarterback, probably your number 2 is how good your defensive line is. You can follow that in college, any level, really. Defensive line is correlated to success. So, yeah, he was struggled under pressure in this one. One of the other things, team building wise, this offseason, Scott, we're talking about a little concerned about the Falcons' run defense, just the light bodies and everything. But the second one was the offensive line. How are you building the team? Like, I know we want to fix the defense. You got to protect the offensive line. And this wasn't a great game from the right tackle. Overall, Wilkinson has been performing admirably this season, but you also had, like I mentioned, Bergeron, not the best game. Just overall, it was good. Like I said, good to have Matthews back there. But you're completely right, Scott. The EPA under pressure, while it's not Bo Nix level poor, it's something that you're going to hopefully see corrected. One bit of solace I'll give Falcons fans is that year to year, EPA under pressure, your quarterback's ability under pressure tends to be pretty volatile. So you can have one year where you're amazing. Matt Stafford's the king of this. And then the next year, you're like the worst quarterback in football under pressure. So that's something that you can watch out for. But yeah, right now he just looks like he doesn't feel very comfortable under pressure, navigating the pocket under pressure. That's extra frustrating because you have arguably the best dump off option in all of football under pressure in your fire outlet and Bijan. I mean, if you get him the ball in space on the blitz or pressure, boom. And also one of the best pass protecting backs too. So it is frustrating.
And I would say also that I've got two pterodactyl receivers that if I'm under pressure, I can find whichever one is single covered and just throw it in his vicinity. It's like get it close to Drake or Kyle Pitts and give him a chance. You've got better than a 50-50 chance of something good happening. Either it's pass interference or they're gonna come down with it, or something like that. But Michael Penix does not look good when he is pressured. That's just the way it is right now, and that's. How do you take I got pressure just repeating in my head. How do you take that pressure off him with the running game is part of it. So when you can't run the ball, then they can tee off on those guys. And the offensive line was in trouble yesterday. And it was, I won't say it was a total offensive failure because, again, they moved the ball. But a lot of teams can move the ball between the 30-yard lines. What happens then? And I've said it twice. I've said it in social. I've said it in writing. I'll say it here. Raheem Morris cannot coach the same way most NFL teams do because he doesn't trust his kicker. He hadn't trusted it since the middle of last year. It's been a year since he's trusted the kicking game. Anything these days in the NFL inside the 40-yard line is automatic. It's 3 points. With decent weather, it's 3 points. That's 57 and under. It's 3 points. Falcons can't do that. The Falcons won't kick a field goal until they break the 30, unless it's a 3rd and 15. And if it's 4th and 5, if it's 4th and 3, sometimes the analytics say do go for it, but you see it in the first half, and that comes. It's like trying to go for 2 because you missed your first point, and then you're chasing points for the next 45 minutes. Not taking a field goal when it's available, you're chasing those points the rest of the game, and the margins are too small to not be able to take the automatic 3. Passing up on it again at the end of the game. There was plenty of time to make it 13-13 and get the ball back. You had the momentum. You went for it. The analytics say, go for it. If I got a kicker I trust, I'm tying it up and going on my number one defense and saying, stop, let's load up the box and stop McCaffrey. Make Mac Jones beat me. They can't kick it. They cannot. I'm not saying they can't kick it, but they certainly don't trust the kicker. Maurice, good to see you. End of half situations continued to look sophomoric. Mooney says at the end, or Maurice says, Mooney at the end of the half, why are you fighting for the extra yard instead of getting out of bounds and making us waste our timeout? And the situational awareness of taking a penalty with no timeouts and getting a 10-second runoff and giving up a sure 3 points right there. You've got the 27th scoring offense in the NFL. We've seen 6 points just go up in flames at the end of the last 2 halves. At halftime, the last 2 games. The margins are small. They are small, and you're going to be a volatile win-loss team when you can't get this kind of stuff right. Thank you for the support, Maurice.
Yeah, thanks, Maurice. Sorry, my voice is a little gone too, Scott. I don't know if you guys caught the Bronco game yesterday. I was there in person, and pretty nuts. Definitely was using my vocal cords.
They did the Mile High Huddle meet and greet. We're going to do one of those. We're going to do one of those. We're going to do something like that here. This community is getting big enough that we can do that. I'm just always scared that if I set one up and I'm going to be the only one there twiddling my thumbs reading a book. So
I'll come, Scott.
But I think this community is getting big enough that I can trust y'all to show up if we set something like that up. But yeah, lots of good folks. I went to that last year as well. I'm gonna scroll down just a little bit and say hi to Mike. I hadn't seen you in here, Mike, since I missed one of your supers last week. So wanted to say thank you and again apologize in person for missing you. Try and make it up for you because he's coming back hard. He says, came in and I heard he said just came in and I heard that Penix hurt his knee and may have an oblique injury. He may not be able to go next week. Who's next? Is it Dolphins next week? Is that who was coming up on the schedule? I hadn't actually looked that far ahead. I just remember there were some before they take it is the Dolphins. Right now, you want the Dolphins to keep Mike McDaniels one more week. I don't want them firing their coach this week, and the Falcons are facing a new coach. In soccer, they call it the new manager bounce. I don't want that. Keep Mike one more week. This team has quit. They are toast. This is a get-right game for the Atlanta Falcons. The Miami Dolphins, if they're not the worst, they're bottom 3, and that's saying something this year because the Dolphins are bad. If Mike is beat up, you got a $28 million backup on the bench, then use him. But, yeah, we did see him, get a little banged up towards the end of the game. We got felled on. You felled a tree, fallen on towards the end. So it might be a Kirk Cousins game, but this is a game where don't lose it, and there's no reason in the world why you shouldn't be able to beat Miami by 3 touchdowns this week.
I mean, maybe this is a game where we do see Kirk Cousins. Penix is hurt. This is one where, again, you mentioned it, they have like 3 first-round picks on their defensive line and a pretty good contract in Zach Seiler. But Bijan, Algier, run game, let's not be in the obvious drop back situations. Take it to them. They don't tackle like they want to be there. And if you hit somebody enough, it does come down to if you want to be on the field. And also we're hearing that a bunch of their starters are on the defensive line or on the trade block. So maybe it's a few pieces are starting to get taken away. I think obviously if Penix is hurt, you don't want that, but I don't know if there is a single team out there right now, Scott, that I'd rather be going up against with my backup quarterback than the Miami Dolphins right now.
Yeah,
they're not only they're bad, they're soft. They're just unbelievable.
I don't know that there's a great team this year. I put Tampa Bay and the Colts at number 1 and number 2 last week in our power rankings. I'm going to do it again. And who knows with the Chiefs? The Philly, Buffalo, they both look like world beaters. Detroit, they're hot and cold. Are they great? I don't know, but there are some awful football teams out there this year. And the Titans, my God, the Titans are awful. The Saints they are what they are. They resetting their salary cap and packing it in this year. The Dolphins are just awful. Rio, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. I do want to say hello to some folks, including some members that have come in. Say hello to some folks like Austin. Says, morning, fellas. Not surprised to say the least. Came out flat and still can't finish drives. Dantes, he says, and this was a big moment too. We've said what's one of the biggest upgrades in the NFL. One of the biggest upgrades in the NFL for this team, and Landman is playing well out in LA, being asked to plug a gap and move forward in short spaces. But in space, he was not good. That's why he only got $50,000 guaranteed in free agency. But Diablo from Landman and Bertrand, JD Bertrand, who had to come in, was one of the biggest upgrades in the NFL. And Diablo went out early. And I felt like that was the second series that San Francisco had because the Falcons had that 20-play drive that ate up the whole first quarter. And all of a sudden, Christian McCaffrey started getting 7-8 yards a gain per every time coming up through the middle. That's not a coincidence. Some of it was scheming again, keep the ball in front of you. And I listened to the first half yesterday on the radio driving. And Dave Archer made it sound like, I'm asking myself, is Jimmy Lake calling? It'd be third down and they'd send pressure, but then they'd back everybody off. They're like, here comes the pressure. They pressure Mac Jones, but they've got a 10-yard cushion on a 3rd and 3. Wait, that's not what you do. If you're going to pressure, you press. Yeah. So it was JD Bertrand is not a good fit in this defense. I'm not going to say he can't play in the NFL, but he's not a good fit in this defense. And it is a massive loss when Diablo went out.
Yeah, you really felt Christian McCaffrey leak yardage, just the speed, get it around the edge once Bertrand went out there. And unfortunately for him, because he wears the Guardian cap, it's like a target on his back. So when you see him not moving around and looking a little smaller and not getting the angle in time, it's like, oh, there's that guy again. Not very good. But he's fine. It's one of those ones where you wish you had Anderson out there, a little bit more speed and everything, but that's the NFL too. Everybody's going to deal with injuries at some point. You got to have the depth step up and next man up. That's the league. Now, obviously teams that normally are holding the trophy at the end had above average to like top, 10% injury luck, but yeah, that's football. Next man up.
You can't complain about injuries playing that 49ers team, Nick. You know, the
Yeah,
49ers
exactly.
were the Bills last week. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody's going to cry to you. You've got to build depth. And the Falcons do have more depth. They've got depth on the defensive line. They've got depth at running back. They've got depth at quarterback. Where they don't have a whole hell of a lot of depth is linebacker. They even have a little bit of depth at safety now that Jordan Fuller's back. You know, if I go Watts, they have some depth at corner. Some, you know, Billy Bowman goes out and he hasn't been the, you know what? Now that I say that, yes, the Falcons did miss Billy Bowman. Billy Bowman and Jalen Walker were big losses in this game. The two rookies who are very good against the run. They were big losses in this game. Billy Bowman is up there to be an outside linebacker in running situations. And Billy Bowman for D. Alford was a big loss. It was a big loss. And what Mac throw for 160 yards? The Falcons still have the number one passing defense, but Christian McCaffrey was getting 7 yards a carry. And some of that is sealing the edge. Leonard Floyd did a good job. James Pierce was hot and cold. Jalen Walker does a good job with that. And Billy Bowman does a good job with that. So Rio coming back in. Thank you, my friend. He says, our issues are red zone. Yes. Field goal confidence. Yes. Those two go hand in hand a little bit as well. Ultimately, penalties and playing on the road, the numbers show the offense plays far better at home. The 2 weeks in a row, we could have scored before halftime. It should have scored before halftime. Not just could have, should have.
Yeah.
And those points matter, especially when the other team's going to get the ball. That said, Nick, and then I'll turn this back over. The Falcons had an extra possession in the first half, which I say is actually can be key if you take the ball on the kickoff. You got an extra possession in the first half, and then they stopped them on 49ers' first possession in the second half. I thought they did. Because they scored 10 at the end of the and they stopped and the Falcons got the ball back. So it worked out. The defense did enough to win this game. The offense did not. And that goes with special teams too.
Yeah, I think offense was the main culprit in this one. Obviously, the one thing that I keep coming back to, Scott, with like the pressure and everything, the offensive line, obviously, I'm thinking Storm Norton might be back soon. Wilkinson, again, has performed admirably, but we've been big Storm fans on here. So maybe that if he has a bad game coming up here, we might be coming close to that. Falcons aren't dealing with a bevy of picks, but one area that I do think that can help Penix under pressure that was felt in this game is just having a route runner wide receiver. Like I know everybody wants speed, and we love Drake London. Obviously, we love Bijan. We love Kyle Pitts had a good game as well overall, but right now you just don't have that man beater in the wide receiver rotation. Somebody who it's like, okay, press coverage. He's getting uncovered in 1.5 seconds, slant out something, and that's where the ball's going. It's just you don't have that guy in this rotation.
Nick, you might not remember this guy. You've heard me wax poetic about him, and he still lives around here and does some coaching and stuff. But arguably the best technical wide receiver I've ever seen play for the Atlanta Falcons is Terrence Mathis. OG's out there. Do y'all remember? And that means guys and gals, because I saw Carrie come in too. Pamela. Terrence Mathis, Chris Chandler to Terrence Mathis on 3rd and 8 on the out route was money. And Terrence wasn't going to run by anybody, and he wasn't all that big. But by God, he always got open. And that's some of the things you're missing. You've got your size advantages with London, and you don't need to spend a first-round pick to get a guy that can find spaces in the zone like that. That can absolutely help. Wanted to come back to our chat. I want to say thank you to Maurice for becoming a member. That's awesome. You get the little bird on there, and then started doing more reaction videos for members only that we do when injury reports come out, news, start doing more members only videos during the week. That's an added bonus. So those of y'all who aren't members, I'm not taking anything away from you. I'm adding content for members to do more things for the channel. And Mike says, after he got his knee torqued in the fourth, Penix didn't have the velocity on his throws. Did you notice that? Not really. I didn't notice really any problem with velocity. What I noticed was problems overall, and this could be part of it. Your velocity could be my accuracy. Was his lack of stepping into the throws, which isn't always a huge thing he does. He's got such arm strength that he doesn't always have great technique. But what I saw was him not throwing to open receivers. and watch the all-22, and there might not be anybody open, but he wasn't making good throws under pressure. He's missed some guys. He's throwing into traffic. When the 49ers would bring pressure, it was an incomplete pass, or a sack. And almost every time Mac Jones was escaping and doing some things, Michael Penix was not. And I'm not putting this all on Michael Penix. Don't get me wrong. But if the Falcons are going to go where you want the Falcons to go, Michael Penix has to do better than he is doing right now under pressure. And that should come with time. It comes with experience. He's a first-year starter.
What'd you say, 9 starts in? We got ample time. We don't have to have any hard conversations about Penix until the end of the 2026 season. And there's been way more positives, I feel like, than negatives. So again, I think we can, this happens with, I feel like every team I cover, we can be critical of the game that he had and say, like, here were some things, maybe not the best, without that being a massive indictment on who they are long-term.
Like, what a Michael Penix hater. No, it's okay. I mean, these guys know if they don't play their best every game, and just not playing bad doesn't mean we're down on them. It's just they didn't have a good game. This is what they need to improve on. He needs to improve on facing pressure. He needs to improve on that. And wow, that's quite the hot take for basically a rookie quarterback. No kidding. Corey Carter, thanks for the super chat, my friend. He says, we stopped Tyler Algier ourselves last night. Didn't like the offensive game plan or the rotation. Nick, how many carries did Tyler Algier have in the first half?
Oh, I don't know. First half, I'm not sure.
I'm holding up one.
God, I went to pull up the box.
It was a stack box, and Bijan was taking hammer shots in the middle. You know, when he runs wide, he avoids those big shots, but when he's going between tackles, he was taking on 2 or 3 guys. And in the fourth quarter, I said, you know, if this was how it's going to be, we should have seen Tyler Algier more in this game. The very next play, he goes up in the middle, and there's a huge collision, catches a helmet right under the chin, and then gets rolled up under in his leg. I'm like, okay, there's the announcer's curse. But he's inflicting punishment on that end too, and that's what you want to see in the first half. I want to see him soften them up a little bit. That dude that came down from the safety spot to collide with Tyler like that, yeah, it's a big hit. He don't want to do that 5 or 6 times in a game, I promise you. Mm-hmm. Then you put Bijan in. And going back to the fourth down, because someone says in here, I don't really like the pass on 4th and 1. They subbed out Bijan after he got stuffed on 3rd and 1. It became 4th and 2, 4th and 3, and Tyler comes in. Well, Tyler's limping in the ball. I was like, I don't know that I want Tyler to get the ball because I don't know that he's got the leg drive right now. He just limped off 2 plays ago. Well, he didn't, and the guy sat on the route. God, how about an out and up right there, Nick? It's 7. A pump fake, and it's 7. They're pressing you. You haven't gone over their heads all game. Suck them in and go over the top, for God's sakes.
Yeah, one thing that I feel like we could see better from this Falcons offense is the dialed-up deep shots. There haven't been enough, like with how you're running the football and the stack boxes. Now, granted, I know you're dealing with Matthews with an ankle injury, and the right tackle position is not incredible right now, but maybe you get a little bit heavy or keep somebody in there. And that calculated deep shot, it just feels like it's not there right now. Now, again, I know you don't have the wide receivers, but you don't have to have blazers to get those deep shots if they're the play action. It's more about time and, well, it's time and timing for those ones a lot. So, and again, it feels condensed.
The rules are favored so much for the offense. If I get a one-on-one anywhere, throw it.
Take a shot.
Throw it. I mean, Casey Washington slows up and gets bumped into. There's a penalty. And sometimes, you know, we say it wasn't a ton of penalties, but sometimes those penalties can add up. That 10-yard holding penalty on Eli Wilkinson became a 37-yard penalty because it erased a 27-yard beautiful pass to a wide-open Kyle Pitts. Those are the kind of things you want to see. Reed, someone's usually open. You know, you can't cover everybody, and it's up to the quarterback to be able to find those guys, and he did. It's tough right now. You know, and Carrie comes in, and she says it great, as usual. She says, good morning, Scott, Nick. The team is inconsistent. The biggest issue for me is coaching, and you could read that backwards, and it still reads the same. The biggest issue for me is coaching. The team is inconsistent. Yes. It's a young team also. You know, that's part of it, and injuries on the offensive line, but it is a young team, is inconsistent. But a couple of the things that shouldn't be problems, having a high school level kicking game shouldn't be a problem. Everybody else, Eddie Pinheiro in, this is a 52-yarder instead of a 59-yarder. Kick, good. I'm like, wow. Everybody else, when they hit the 40-yard line, it's field goal range. And not just range, they're putting 3. It's like, okay, we've got 3. Let's see what we can do now. And the Falcons is like, okay, let's get half of this back, and maybe we can go for a 4th and 4 from the 37 instead of, missing a field goal, instead of having a 4th and 8 from the 41. It's game changing right now. But Kerry continues on to say Zach Robinson is outcoached by Robert Saleh. Saleh is a good coach.
Yeah.
Who is developing Michael Penix? Jimmy Lake and Robinson have been bad hires. 13 points in 6 quarters with our talent is inexcusable. Number 2 in total. They fell to number 7, I think, in yards per game after this one. But they were number 2 in total offense and number 27 in points. They fell to number 28 in points scored after this last game.
Red zone offense. I mean, that's
and kicking game.
And kicking game. Yeah. It's hand in hand. Like you said, I'm not quite ready to, throw dirt on Zach Robinson yet, because I like a lot of stuff that I've seen. And it's kind of hard when you've had the injuries in the offensive line and the rookie quarterback who's been inconsistent. But it is frustrating. And obviously he's on watch as is any coach. So again, we'll see how they respond this next game. It is unfortunate, and I'll be curious to see, maybe it's a Michael Penix home road split thing. I mean, the games where he's been great this year, the Commanders, the Bills, Buccaneers, all home. Where did he lay an egg? Carolina and, of course, 49ers so far. So
and they come out passing. And then they're throwing the ball more on the road. Run the ball and spread it out. That's the thing. It's like, they did try and run the ball. Bijan had, was averaging 3 yards a carry. Okay. Yeah, but he's running a phone booth. The man needs space. He's the best open field runner in the game. He needs space. I don't want to see 20 guys on the box. And literally, it was like all 11 players were within the hash marks. It was insane. That's not what you do with a Barry Sanders. What did Barry Sanders come into? Barry Sanders came into the run and shoot. 4 wide, single back, spread them out, let Barry go to work. I don't like seeing them do that. When you've got the arm strength to stretch the defense. I mean, I can hit an opposite hash screen with Michael Penix as hard as he can throw the ball. It gets out there in a hurry. So lots of things to work on. And the thing that's really, it's encouraging and frustrating at the same time. When they've had these pull your hair out games of why are you doing the stuff that's so simple to not do or do, they fix it and come out and have a great game the next game. Like, oh yeah, let's not be completely obvious and do things that get away from our strengths. It's just fresh, and then it's frustrating. It's like, well, why does it take a game like this to do that? And credit to San Francisco, but the Falcons didn't adjust. The San Francisco was like, we're going to load the box, we're going to stop Bijan, beat us if you can. Well, you couldn't. And you never once, I won't say once, but you didn't scheme up, as Nick says, the deep shots to take pressure off the front, the box, the running game.
And one thing also I would like, so we talked about the lack of a man coverage separator. And thanks, Mike, for coming to remember. But the man coverage separator on the perimeter, because that's not really Pitt's game. That's not really London's game either. Like zone, killing them. It'd be nice to have that wide receiver. One other way to beat man coverage is to have your quarterback take off and run. And that's something that, and my Penix, obviously not, he's more of a pocket quarterback, but he does have the ability. I mean, if Baker Mayfield and Mac Jones can do it from time to time, now you got to do it smart. You can't do it every single play, but keeping the defense honest. I mean, this season, Scott, I heard this, I want to give a shout out. I think it's Football 301, the Yahoo football podcast. This season, we've had more EPA gained on quarterback scrambles than in the history of the NFL. And teams are figuring out that, an incompletion is obviously worse than a quarterback tucking it and getting 4 yards. I mean, keep the offense in sync, make sure that they're keeping their eyes there, make them pay if they're playing man. And obviously right now you don't have the route runner at the Z on the outside to really take care of it. Speed on the perimeter would help as well. I honestly think a route runner would be even better for Penix than, having just a purely explosive down the field kind of guy. But I would love to see him use his legs a little bit more. Now, granted, if he's injured coming out of this game, because he did get hit pretty good by that 49ers defense, that's a different conversation. But again, man coverage, you should be able to tuck and run and protect yourself a few times.
John Harrell, thanks for being a member, my friend. He came in, and this was before we even started, so he knows how we're thinking here. He says, "Good morning, Scott, Nick, and Falcons family." That's all, y'all. I have zero confidence in Penix or Morris. Another end of half debacle. If you don't trust your kicker, why is he on the team? It's a good question. It really is. There's guys out there. I mean, I don't know. Is this the best you can do? Probably not. So I don't have an answer for you on this. I think when the Falcons were looking for a kicker, I feel like they were talking to someone else, and he went somewhere else. Parker hasn't done a bad job, but they don't trust the kicking game. And I said that was against the Bills. I said, you can tell the way they're calling the games, he still didn't trust the kicking game. And then the next, long kick gets blocked. So 55 yards has become the new 40 yards, Nick. 40 yards is automatic. It's been automatic in football for most of my life. 55 yards is right there. 50 is the new 40. Yeah, right. And 55 is makeable. 55 used to be 55 is field goal range. Not for this team. It's really 40 and in is when you're in field goal range for this team. It's tough. And Rusty, I know you're feeling it today. And Rusty says, it feels like every week we're at a coaching disadvantage, regardless of how big a talent gap we might have in our favor. I think Ulbrich has been great. He didn't have his best game yesterday, but they still did enough to win the game on defense. Robert Saleh is a really good defensive coach. And for all, if we were to talk about the warts that Kyle Shanahan has in certain situations, I don't think there's any question that he is a better offensive coach than Zach Robinson on a week in and week out basis. You were definitely at a disadvantage this week. The Falcons were, no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean that the 49ers have a good coaching staff is the short way I want to say this. 49ers have a good, really, really good coaching staff.
Top 3, top 5 offensive play caller in Kyle Shanahan, and a defensive coordinator who's going to get head coaching interviews, sounds like. And they're paid to play as well. And shout out to them for overcoming not having Bosa and obviously Fred Warner as well. But Scott, piling on Penix, piling on Zach Robinson. To me, I just keep coming back to he was just hit so often. And I would like to see Zach Robinson. Penix was hit so often. I would like to see Zach Robinson get a little bit more creative. As you mentioned, running into a brick wall. Use some orbit motions, get Robinson, kicking out sideways and then dump it to him. Just get him a little bit of space, get some horizontal movement.
It's also hard when Eli Wilkinson when he's getting whipped on the right side. Don't put him out there on an island. Give him some help.
Yep. Charlie Warner. It felt hard when you were getting beat that thoroughly up front it's just, to me, and I'm typically pretty rough on the quarterback. What was this, 9 starts for Michael Penix? Like that's a hard ass getting pulverized like he was up front. Your offensive line not winning in the ground or pass game. So what I have done in hindsight, and this is a little bit biased because we had Kyle Shanahan with McCaffrey on the other side, but just figuring out more creative ways to get the ball in Robinson's hands quickly and in space, take some pressure off the line, take some pressure off of Penix, and just let your number 8 overall pick do work. But again, easier to say in hindsight, but I just keep coming back to, I see a lot of frustration with Penix, which I get, it was a bad game. He has had 2 games this season where he was top 10 in EPA and success rate, which is really good, Scott. So you got to give him some time. I understand it's frustrating, but when you draft a young quarterback with let's just call it the disadvantages the Falcons have with the cap situation with Kirk Cousins and just the team building in general, you're going to have to live with a little bit of the up and downs. You're signing up for that this season. You just hope that when you come to it at the end of the season, you're feeling you're in a better spot than you were starting the season with where they're at in their week to week, their overall play. But yeah, it's definitely a frustrating game, 20-10. I know I'm on a rant right now, Scott. We haven't even mentioned his name yet. And I texted you yesterday, though. I wanted to be positive, too. Zach Harrison. Holy guacamole. He's been unbelievable this season. Now, granted, again, one of those like lighter body types for that 4-5 technique. But what do you have? A sack in this game, 2 tackles for loss. He's everywhere. Third-year player from that draft class, obviously, 3 iterations ago. But he's been unbelievable this season. I dare say, I mean, I know that we're really excited about Pierce and Walker and everything, but if there's any Pro Bowlers or All Pros coming out right now through the first third of the season, Zach Harrison looks like the best one to me on that whole unit.
Yeah, especially in the front on the front 5. Talking about those guys, I mean, Ellis and Diablo have been really good.
Yeah.
And then Watts is getting a ton of love too this year.
Yeah, he's been good.
But yeah, Zach Harrison has been really, really good, and he got wasted completely last year because they went with 2 down linemen. The 2-5 nickel that they ran last year, the 2-4 nickel that they ran last year was he didn't have a space for it because he couldn't play defensive tackle, and then he wasn't a stand-up edge, so he didn't have a spot on the team, which is play to the strengths that you've got. And when I'm forcing 2 edges out there when I don't have 2 edges is poor man management. Speaking of poor man management, 3rd and 13, 2:53 left, 13-10 game. Falcons had 10 guys on the field, 10 guys on defense. That was the play they showed. I didn't see that until this morning, Dirty Bird. I think Harry Douglas, Jonesboro legend, Harry Douglas, posted it and got forwarded to me when I woke up this morning. But they showed that play from behind, and that was one where Mac Jones looks off to the right. Caden Ellis takes a shuffle step to his left, and here comes in the seam, the first down, basically game ender right there. 10 guys on the field. 10 guys on the field, and the Falcons had all 3 timeouts. So that was, when we talk about scheming and that kind of stuff, Rusty going back to saying, I feel like we're outcoached every week.
Those are last week.
Those are the plays that make a difference.
Yeah.
It comes down to a couple plays.
I will give, again, typically, Scott, I wouldn't say I'm normally fire and brimstone, but I'm a harsh grader normally. This is a young team, first year in this system. It could just be one person making a mistake, and ultimately it does come down to the coaching staff, but you never know. Somebody might not have their head in the game there. So would be curious. I don't know if we heard anything in the press conference about that play.
But I think say anything. Raheem came up for 3 minutes yesterday and was gone. So I don't know if there wasn't much local or if he was just done, but he did not have much to say.
But the young team, Scott, we're going to have a high variance Falcons team this season. We're going to have games like the Commanders.
I can't hurt them like that.
Yeah. I
can't hurt them by putting 10 on the field.
No. But I'm expecting a high variance team this season. The highs are going to be high. The lows are going to be low. It's going to be maddening. But you are 3-3, 6 games in. You are, God, what are you sitting at? 10th, 9th in the NFC, because the NFC is so condensed right now, but you still got a chance. And you have a get right game coming up as well. After that, we don't have to talk about the 2 after that, Scott. Yeah, God, Drake May looks like a, dare I say, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Broke the Patriots all-time completion percentage in a game record yesterday, but Titans, but still unbelievable.
Yeah, their schedule's still been a little wonky.
Yeah,
on that. So,
but he'd be. I mean, you're playing, FCS opponents. The stats would be eye-popping. But
Maurice is twisting the knife here a little bit. He says our defense played football to put us in position to win, but we can't score watching the Falcons. It's like watching Auburn all over again. Yeah, the similarities are really crazy on this. One of the big differences is Hugh Freeze is kind of a jerk to his players, where Raheem is not. But one of the most dangerous spots on the field for the Auburn Tigers is the 5-yard line. Like you cross the 30, you think you're getting at least 3 points. You get on the 1, you think you're going to score. It's kind of the same thing. You're not really sure what the hell they're going to do, but what a disaster. what a disaster Auburn has been. And then Billy Napier getting fired yesterday too has been good for on SI's Florida Gator business. I'll tell you that. We actually had the story in drafts since last September of 2024. After they started 1-2, we wrote up that he was gone then. Corey coming back in, he says, I felt better about Penix after week 1 than I do now. I saw fire then, I'm not seeing now. We heard about the big arm, but we don't use it. And that's what's so frustrating to me. You know, what are some of the small sample size things that we were talking about last year? In 3 games, he had more big-time throws than anybody in like the last 6 weeks of the season. You know, pushing the ball downfield, his accuracy issues. It's like they took the accuracy thing and said, okay, we want to make sure we get him over 63% accuracy come hell or high water. Well, I don't care if he's throwing 58%. If he's shooting the ball 25 yards downfield every other throw, I'll take that. You know, so it's like they've turned him into uber cautious. And that's not him. That's not his game. He is an attack-minded gunslinger, and I'll take an interception or two over cautious. Again, going back to the Auburn thing. Oh, Jackson Arnold hasn't thrown an interception. He's been sacked 25 times. I'll trade 5 sacks for an interception if it means you're getting rid of the damn ball. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Penix is just playing too cautious. Oh, great. His completion percentage is up. Still not great, but his completion percentage is up, but his efficiency is down. So, you know, I agree with you, Corey. He's got to get better. He does. He knows that. They know that. That's why they practice every week.
Yeah, and he still has a long leash. So it's buckle up. When you draft a young quarterback, you are in it, and we don't know if he's the guy. I'm not saying he's the guy by any means. What I've seen is a quarterback who's worth the time to find it out and draw it out. But as far as him being the no doubt franchise savior the next 10 years, we got a long way to go to answer that one, Scott. So everybody can hate me for that opinion, Scott. It's great. But it is I just keep coming back to, I know we really want the drop back, you know, fired around the yard pass game. When you're getting hit like that, though, I don't know what you do. Like I don't
feel like he takes that big a punishment, honestly. I really don't.
He looked pretty dinged up after this game.
He did, but that can be one hit. That can be one shot. Yeah. You know, that it can be rolled up. Like, he'll get rid of the ball quickly when he's under pressure, but not necessarily effectively. You know, I saw a stat last week that said, you know, quarterback induced sacks, and his was 0. He hasn't been blamed. You know, we say the quarterbacks getting sacked is a quarterback stat. You know, reading the blitz, holding the ball too long, you know, pre-snap recognition, and he hasn't been. But he hasn't been as effective throwing the ball either. On that one,
some stats here, Scott. I did want to get into at least the pressure stuff. You know, it's different when you see, like, we can watch it and it'll be, you know, the vibes of it, I guess, when you're actually feeling it. But then when you see the stats compared to the what are the word I'm looking for? Your co-patriots, your competition at the other quarterback spots. It's like, maybe we do need to start hammering this a little bit more. But per Next Gen's, this is from Tori McElhaney. She said, per Next Gen stats, Michael Penix did not complete a single one of his 9 passes under pressure in week 7. Most pass attempts in a game without a completion for any quarterback dating back to 2023. Okay. Pressured 11 times, taking 2 sacks. When not pressured, he was 21 for 29. So again,
under pressure, he was 0 for 9 passing and 2 sacks, which is the most, what she said was the most throws without a completion in 2 years. So it felt like a bad game. It was arguably the worst game in 2 years for a quarterback under pressure.
And this is one of those things too. When you talk about Michael Penix coming out of Indiana, Washington, you always say, he's a pocket quarterback, doesn't really have the fluidity, like a shortstop turning a double play kind of movement from the quarterback that you're really looking for now. Then he had the really good 40. Oh, look, he's a great athlete. He can run. But it's not always the most coordinated when it needs to be getting around guys under pressure. So definitely something to keep an eye on going forward here, because that's pretty bad. I also see here, this is per Pro Football Reference, but Penix has had the highest bad throw percentage under pressure this season as well, at 22%. So that was before last night's game, so it's probably worse now. So again, the under pressure stuff is worth keeping on. I will say again, the one thing to hang your hat on is that year to year that can be pretty volatile. It's not some like clean pocket ability.
We expect it to get better with. We expect it to get better with. It can't get worse. Really, except if some of those turn in interceptions. But we expect it to get better with experience. It's not totally unexpected that a young quarterback struggles. No kidding. Film at 11. It should get better with experience and comfort and all that type of things in there. And, as the offensive line gets healthy and improved, it will get better. And Curtis, again, coming in, double dipping. He's a member too. Thank you, Curtis. He says, not a fan of a head coach who doesn't scheme or call plays. I believe he's involved in the game plan, especially the defensive game plan. So I wouldn't put scheme in there necessarily. But yeah, I was a little surprised that he immediately handed the reins over to Jimmy Lake last year. I'm not as surprised that Jeff Ulbrich is calling plays. He's got a lot of experience doing it. But again, the W cures all. The win cures all. I mean, I got into this discussion yesterday about Mike McDaniels down in, his quirkiness was clever and refreshing 2 years ago. Now it's just weird and you got to get out of here, So, and then the only difference, Mike hasn't changed. The difference is his team was winning. You win 20 in the show, the press will call you colorful. Until then, you're a slob. That's what we're going through right now. I don't care how it gets done as long as it gets done, but there are some really gaping holes in this team as far as stuff that shouldn't be happening on a regular basis that still is happening that's got to get fixed, Nick.
Yeah, no doubt. We got Corey Carter coming in, $5. We actually draw attention to $7 and still gave him the ball at times. Coaches read the press too much, and we suffered for it. Yeah, they just got to figure out more creative ways to get the ball to Bijan when you are running your head into a brick wall, and you got Tyler Algier to soften that up a little bit as well. No, I know you definitely take away some of your explosiveness and pass catching ability when you do that, and maybe show your hand a bit, but I mean, get under center and run a play action if they're thinking, downhill hammer with Algier. That's your chance to, over the top. See if Kyle Pitts, give him a shot. Try to scheme up a one-on-one, especially if you know the other team's tendencies. Again, I know it's been a erratic year for the Broncos on offense, but one thing I can really appreciate for Sean Payton is some of the deep shots that he has drawn up that Knicks has mostly missed on. But the guys are open, not the fastest guys in the world, and the red zone stuff. So definitely areas. Now, is it fair to ask Zach Robinson to be Sean Payton at this point? I don't know. But two areas that I am becoming coach pilled on, Scott.
Well, the other one that gets me, if I've got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts on the field, I should be able to scheme those guys open. And history may prove this to be a really bad statement because Casey Washington go on to be a Hall of Famer somewhere in his career. But right now on this offense, on third down, I don't want the ball going to Casey Washington. I shouldn't have time to go through my fourth option at best. I don't want the ball going to Casey Washington in those situations. I want Drake, I want Kyle, I want Bijan. And too many times, twice is too many. It's going to Casey. So again, it's not even just they're finding different ways to get it to Bijan, but I know the ball's going to Bijan. I'm just going to follow him. So creativity to me is when you use him, not necessarily how you use him all the time. And it's been a little too predictable. Nick, you probably got to get moving here.
I need to get going here because I got to hop on the good vibes for the Bronco stuff, and I'm pretty much out of this guy here, Lion Coffee, so I need to refill there. But overall, final thoughts from you, Scott, not to hijack your point here, but again, frustrating. It's a week-to-week league, as we've said many times. You had a little goodwill from winning that Bills game. You'll kind of lose it again. Try to find the mid-ground of those feelings between those two games. That's probably where you should be. And again, it's a frustrating game to lose, but the 49ers are 5-2. They are hobbled, but it's a really good program. I think that's a good use for that word out there in the 49ers for how long they've all been together. It's a good program out there in San Francisco, whatever it is, Santa Clara, whatever. And the Falcons are still trying to establish what they are. So they're going to be an erratic team this season. I will be fire and brimstone if you come out and lose to the Dolphins next week, Scott. But this one, it stinks, but you still got everything to play for in front of you. And this is to be expected.
Like, okay, you're 3-3 after 6. Again, it's the nature of how those games happen that are more frustrating than necessarily the 3-3. I think going through, we're like, okay, the Falcons could be 6-6 and be in good shape here down the stretch to make the playoffs. 3-3 is okay, but it is the nature of this. There's some interesting conversation, but you get out of here. I'm going to finish up here, Nick. Thanks for being here. I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow night and talk to you later today.
Yeah, sounds good. Have a good one, guys. Again, not too high, not too low. Everything to play for in front of you. You'll have better feelings than this ahead. That's why we live and die by these games. It's nothing but no better product than the NFL.
Thanks, Nick. And y'all have seen me go fire and brimstone on things, and this isn't one of those occasions. There's some frustration involved, but there's correctable stuff that isn't necessarily getting corrected. But again, whenever we felt like we've had a game that has been just like a WTF type of game, they've bounced back really well. And it's encouraging and frustrating. And Kerry says, if I see Pitts another screen pass, it's not his game as a vertical threat. It's so frustrating. Should have been his game. He was beating the small safety all game. It's a mismatch. Went away from it. Excuse me. He's not a start-stop guy. He could be a slant god. If you heard Collinsworth, I kind of halfway met Chris Collinsworth. I've met a lot of these guys running the football camps I used to run, and they had sons. So I like Collinsworth, so I'm a little biased here. I don't think he's the devil of announcer that so many people say, but that happens when you get to the level that he does. The more popular you are, the more haters you're going to have. But I like Chris Collinsworth. He caught a bunch of flack for PFF last week, though. I don't know if y'all saw that after we went in on him last week. Anyway, he started pointing out as soon as Pitts gets his body between the defender and the ball, it's over. It's over. Now it's just a matter of, can you deliver, and is he going to catch it or not? That I want to see him in motion. How many times have we talked, y'all, about I want to see him hitting stride. I mean, what a beast he is with the ball, with him hitting stride and trying to get a 190-pound corner nickel back, trying to drag him down. It's an easy 10 yards. So no, the screen game is not working. Those are ways you're trying to get him going, so to speak, to get him the ball. But get it to Mooney. Set it out there and get it to Mooney. And I don't know if Ray's ever going to come back. I don't think he's been cut. I saw someone mention that earlier. I haven't seen any changes on that. I just checked X while Nick was talking. But I wouldn't be totally surprised if McLeod is not with this team. No inside information, just, reading the tea leaves. But Drake and Kyle Pitts blocking for Mooney behind him out there on that screen, that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? So we will see on that. Jack, good to see you. Thanks for being a super chat superstar. I'm a lifelong Falcons fan. My brother is a lifelong Broncos fan, both from Chicago. This pod duo was made for us. Jack, it's crazy to me how much symmetry we've seen between the Falcons and Broncos since Nick and I started doing this together 5 years ago. From the very first trade, the only time Terry Fontenot was traded down, it was with the Broncos. I go and look, who's 1 and 2 in defense? Falcons and Broncos? What the hell? Crazy. So, yeah, it is. I'm glad you like it, Jack. People will come on here. I'll dress a little bit more neutral. But I cut my teeth in recruiting and draft. I'm used to talking to other teams' fans my whole professional career. So I don't have any problem with someone else, another point of view. You don't have to be a fan of the team. You need to be an expert of the team in order to deliver good content. You need to be smart. And Nick fits the bill on all of those. So thank you so much for the support. I'm going to go back up to the top real quick. I think we've been busy today, so I want to scroll through these. I'm pretty sure I've gotten all the supers. But there were some early comments on here that I wanted to get to from some of our early comers, like James. He says, "Good morning, Scott and Nick. The kicking game is really killing us. 40-plus yardage is considered a long shot. At this point, give Koo another chance. Koo needs a fresh start. They've been doing well up in New York. I don't think he's gotten any playing time yet, but they need to be absolutely need to be on it for a kicker next year. Austin, good to see you. He says, Austin Freeze says offense was flat. JD Bertrand looked like a kid getting bullied. Now, this is pure speculation on my part, 100% speculation on my part. But if a guy goes to the sidelines and is ruled out within a quarter for a forearm injury, he broke his arm. That's what I think. That could end up being up there. It's a little bit different. It's not your legs. It's more of a pain tolerance, and he might end up playing with a club. 2 to 3 weeks at best would be what I would expect on Divine. We haven't really talked about that. But Divine, you can't rule a guy out like that with a forearm injury that fast unless he broke his arm. A break usually heals in 4 to 6 weeks, but we've seen guys play out there before it's completely healed with the Q-tip with their club on their arm. So we'll see. They need to do something. At this point, do we ever think Troy Anderson's going to suit up again? I don't have any faith in that. I don't have any faith in him staying out there if he gets out there. Austin Freeze, need Bowman back too. Absolutely. He was a miss in the run game. My first reflex thought, and that happens a lot when you're doing this live, and people will come in, I can't believe you said, well, give me a second. Let me, that's why I like the comments. Let me expand on my thinking or rethink here. But when I'm doing this live, my reflex thought was, the passing game was fine. They didn't get beat, and then I was like, wait a minute. You miss Billy Bowman against the run. That was a big miss. D's been playing okay in his absence, but he is not the box enforcer that Billy Bowman has been, the sideline to sideline guy, the edge sealer that Billy Bowman has been. Those are big ones. Maurice talking about Darnell Mooney. I don't expect to see him next year unless things change in a big way. Michael Lewitzki, I saw you come in, want to say hello. I'd get a comment. I can't find one right off the top of my head other than I agree, Chris. That means Chris Walker is in here too. What did you agree with on Chris? But he says, Rodrigo Blankenship would be an upgrade over our current kicker, Chris. So welcome in. Glad you were doing well. And Gregory Mundine, he says, Gruden even stated when in the pistol, we run 85% of the time. We need more play action under center. Hadn't been under center at all. And the predictability of what is going to be called in the pistol has been a long-standing thing. Again, if it's something that someone like me can pick out as I'm a little bit more than a casual, but what do you think the guys that do this for a living with supercomputers and AI are figuring out? Oh, stop Bijan, stop everybody else. Let's see here. Wanted to see if we got anybody else in here. Terry Clark, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Sam, he said is that how they ended up partially losing that game? What did the Broncos score 33 points in the fourth quarter yesterday? Good God. I was just watching the box score on my way back. I'm not a Sean Payton fan. I'm a fan of his coaching, but I'll root against Sean Payton here now and again. I think if we asked, who do Falcons fans hate the most? He's pretty high on that list. I didn't see. I knew they were going to come back and win. It's Sean Payton. The guy's the devil. It made me a philosophical question. Do they get to be where they are successfully because they're arrogant a-holes? Or are they really good and driven, and because of the success and the fame goes with it, they become arrogant a-holes? Because it seems guys like that are these arrogant SOBs find a way to always win. Is it the chicken or the egg? Help me out with that, Falcons fans. I haven't quite figured it out. Let's see. Troy's a fan of the Giants of Scattaboo and Jackson Dart. They've been playing better for sure. Turn to the youth on that one. Maurice, following up the next 3 games, the Dolphins. Next one, we have the Colts and the Patriots. How good are the Patriots? Do we really know? I mean, we don't really know. They're 5-2, right? They lost to the Raiders and the Steelers. They beat the Dolphins. They've beaten the Panthers. And that was a home game with the Panthers. They won at Bills, at Saints, at Titans. Wow, 3 straight road games. But their last 3 games have been at Bills, who they're kind of a mess right now. At Saints, one of the 3 worst teams. At Titans, one of the 3 worst teams. At Dolphins, one of the 3 worst teams. We don't really know. And you know who they play next? The Browns. Before they play the Falcons at home. So if the Falcons can get their act together on the road, the Falcons will be the best team that they played in 2 months. I said that to the Bills fans. I'm like, this will be the most dangerous team. We don't know which one's going to show up, but this will be the most dangerous team you've played. And they had just played the Patriots. And they beat the brakes off the Bills. They really did. They dominated that game. It's Harry Clark talking about the arrogant guys. They have a whole staff to choose from. Now, Bill's he's had some success though, on that. It wasn't all. Part of it was, the having a top 10 defense to go along with Tom Brady all the time. But Hark says, they say what you record are, says you are, Scott, at the end of the year. At the end of the year is what that does, Ark. So they're 5-2. They're a team that isn't beating themselves. They're beating the teams that's put in front of them, but we don't know how good they are. We don't know how good the Falcons are. The Falcons' variance is so wide right now. We don't know week to week on that. So, but a short sample size. At the end of the season, 17 games, yes. In soccer, they say the table don't lie, but every team plays every team twice. Everybody plays the same schedule on that. But in a month sample size, we know how quickly that can change, right? From week to week. So, and then as Yes Mater says, the problem is it's another game. It's another coaching mismatch. Yeah, the consistency, we'll see that. I don't know. What are you going to say when they win? Well, let's win and figure it out. I don't know what the New England Patriots are yet. I know what the Dolphins are right now, and they're a team that's already checked out. Win that game. I think the Colts are pretty good. I do. I've been a big fan of Steichen for a while. I think the Colts are pretty good. Are they the number 1 or 2 team in the league? I don't know. But we'll learn a little bit more in the next 2 weeks. Next 3 weeks, they host the Browns, then the Patriots have the Falcons, and then they're at Buccaneers. But then they go Jets, at Bengals, Giants. Good Lord. And they finish the season, Bills at home, at Ravens. God knows what the Ravens are going to be by that point. At Jets versus Dolphins. Man, there's 4 automatic wins in there no matter what with who they're playing against. Curtis coming in says, who's the next potential top offensive coordinator candidates for next year? We need them. I don't know. I can usually get a decent idea of head coaching as far as these are the guys that are going to get some looks. Basically, just look who's got a top offense. Those are going to be the guys. They're going to get the views. Who's a coordinator that has a good offense right now? Those are your top head coaching candidates. The guys that are next are, okay, who's a quarterback coach on a top offense right now? Who's the next guy coming that is in line from one of these tree guys like Shanahan, like Peyton, like McVay? It was Zach Robinson for a while. So we will see. How about Mike McDaniels? Would you have him back? All right, I saw one more thing. I saw Rise Up Reader. I felt like it was clickbait until I saw half the and thank you, Curtis, again. Half the people were saying yes. He came in and asked, would you take Calvin Ridley back right now? I still can't believe there were as many yeses as there were. This dude, I don't want Calvin Ridley anywhere near Flowery Branch. He is a selfish, me first, bad teammate, no production when it matters person. Hell no. No, what is the matter with you people? No. Look at Calvin Ridley since he's been gone. What has he accomplished other than fooling some of the Titans general manager and giving him $50 million? And shame on that guy. Shame on him. Why? Oh my God, I couldn't believe how many people said, oh yes, he's exactly what we missed. What a redemption project. Man, no, absolutely not. Rudy, good question. He says, Scott, does the run defense concern you? Yes, it does. The injuries are there too. I still feel like the Falcons, when they dedicate a solid 3-4 and decide to stop the run, I feel like they do. And when they're all healthy, JD Bertrand concerns me. That extra linebacker in there concerns me. It doesn't bother me as much. They're not giving up hardly anything in the passing game. So it's not like they're giving up the run, setting up the pass. The run defense is concerning, but it's way down the list for me as far as what needs to be fixed to get more dubs. The run defense, it's down the list for me. I feel like the defense overall is playing well enough to win games. Special teams, no. Offense, scoring, red zone, crucial decisions at the end of halves, no, those aren't good enough. So it is down the list. You can always get better in everything, but I don't expect this team to be, the best at everything. And there's other things that concern me more. Would I like to see another big defensive tackle in there that can help plug up the middle? Yeah, I would. They would double team Onyemata and moving him around a little bit, and there's just nobody up the middle. They've been counting on Ellis and Diablo to go in there and fill. And they're missing some tackles. And with Billy Bowman out and Jalen Walker out, the run defense took a hit. So when everybody's healthy, I'm not overly concerned about the run defense. I'm really not on that one. On that note, I think we're about to get out of here. Want to say thank you to our members, our new members, our old members. Helps keep the lights on, helps keep this forehead nice and shiny. Rio Smith, Super Chat Superstar. Maurice, Rio came in a couple times. Mike, thanks again. He came in a couple times as well. Maurice is a new member for the Falcons podcast. Corey Carter came in several times. Carrie, as always, thank you for your support here on socials, everywhere, helping to get the word out to Falcons fans. You're a big part of our show. Maurice again. Corey Carter again. Curtis, several times. Great to see you, Curtis. Jack, finishing off. And then it's a little bit harder for me to track Facebook stars during the show. I will make that up to you because this happened last week. We had several people give some stars. I will follow up with you on those on Facebook, and I'll shout y'all out on Wednesday. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope y'all had a good time getting this off your chest a little bit. It's not panic time, but you have every reason in the world to be frustrated, and they better come out and just bury the Dolphins next week. The Dolphins don't want to be there. They don't want to play. Get on them early in offense, step on their necks, and be done. Hopefully YouTube won't flag me for violence, and be done with it and move on and get ready for the New England Patriots. If you have any inkling of being a playoff team, this shouldn't even be a game. It should be one of the biggest point spreads of the week, and you should cover and move on. Am I looking past the Dolphins? Yes, I am. You know why? Because if they lose to the Dolphins, we're going to have a very, very different conversation on Monday. Right now, that cannot be even in the discussion until the Dolphins make it so. So we'll see. It's the Falcons. We know. I think they take care of business, but we'll get a little bit more into that on Wednesday. Check out Garrett's show tomorrow. I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks for being here, everybody. Enjoy this beautiful, cool, crisp fall afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Thanks for being here, everybody.